Hey guys, welcome back. If you're new here, this channel is for real Arsenal fans. No sugarcoating, no boring press conference talk, just honest football conversation. And today? Oh, today we have something special to dig into. Arsenal have traveled to Lisbon, Portugal, for the first leg of the UEFA Champions League quarter-final against Sporting CP. Quarter-final. Let that sink in for a second. This isn't the group stage anymore. This isn't a round of 16 game against a team we're expected to beat comfortably. This is the quarterfinal of the biggest club competition in the world, and Arsenal are here, fully prepared, ready to go. So let's break it all down, because there's a lot to talk about. The competition. What this moment means. First things first. Can we just appreciate the stage Arsenal are at right now? The UEFA Champions League quarterfinal is where clubs separate themselves. You've got maybe 8 teams left at this point, 8 teams from the whole of Europe, and Arsenal are one of them. That tells you everything about how far this squad has come. Not long ago, people were questioning whether Mikel Arteta was the right manager. People were doubting if Arsenal could even get back into the top 4 consistently. And now? Now we're talking about quarterfinals in Europe. It feels good, right? I hope you're all feeling this, because this is exactly what we wanted when the rebuild started. Now, the format is simple. 2 legs, home and away. You add up the goals from both games and whoever scores more goes through. Arsenal are playing the first leg away in Portugal, which means this trip to Lisbon is huge. Getting a good result here, ideally a win or at least not losing, would put them in a very strong position going into the second leg at the Emirates. And trust me, when Sporting CP come to the Emirates for the second leg, that crowd is going to be electric. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. First things first, tomorrow night in Portugal, the squad. Who traveled and why it matters. Let's talk about the squad that made the trip. Arsenal brought 23 players to Portugal, a full traveling squad. And honestly, looking at the names, this is a seriously strong group. 3 goalkeepers made the trip. David Raya is the number 1, no question. He's been Arsenal's most important goalkeeper in recent memory. Kepa Arrizabalaga is there as backup, and honestly, having Kepa on the bench is a luxury. Not many clubs can say their backup keeper is someone who played Champions League football at the highest level for years. And then you've got Tommy Setford as the third choice, the young one learning from the best. That goalkeeping department is covered properly. Now the defenders. 7 of them, and what a 7 it is. William Saliba and Gabriel Magalhaes at the heart of defense. This is probably the best center-back partnership in England right now. Saliba has been unreal this season. Composed, fast, reads the game like a veteran even though he's still young. Gabriel next to him brings the aggression and the leadership. These 2 together make Arsenal very hard to break down. Then you've got Ben White, Timber, Calafiori, Mosquera, and Skelly, covering the fullback and wide defensive roles. The depth here is actually impressive. Timber's versatility is massive for Arteta. That man can play almost anywhere across the back line and midfield. And Calafiori? Since he joined, he's shown he's a ball-playing defender who can carry the ball forward and add an extra dimension. This defense is not just solid, it's actually dangerous going forward too. 5 midfielders, and this is where it gets really interesting. Declan Rice is the engine. If Arsenal win this tie, Rice will probably be one of the biggest reasons why. He covers ground, wins the ball back, drives forward when needed. Since joining from West Ham, he's elevated this Arsenal squad to a completely different level. You remember the Fabrizio Romano updates last summer? Here we go on Declan Rice to Arsenal, and every Arsenal fan went absolutely crazy. Rightfully so. That signing looks better every single week. Martin Odegaard is the captain, and this is important. Having your best creative player also be your leader on the pitch is a rare thing. Odegaard doesn't just play football well. He sets the tone for the whole team. When he's in form, Arsenal flow. Simple as that. Zubimendi is in there too. Another player who Fabrizio Romano was linking to Arsenal before the move eventually happened. A proper deep-lying midfielder who controls the tempo and makes the simple things look easy. Then you've got Eze and Nørgaard as extra options in midfield. The fact that a player of Eze's quality is a squad option, not guaranteed to start, tells you how deep this Arsenal team is right now. and then the forwards. 6 of them made the trip. Saka, Martinelli, Jesus, Gyökeres, Trossard, and Madueke. Let me say that list again slowly. Saka, Martinelli, Gyökeres. That's frightening for any defense in Europe. Victor Gyökeres has been one of the most talked about strikers in European football. Fabrizio Romano was all over that story when Arsenal finally got their man, and watching him train with this squad, play in these big moments, you can see why Arsenal moved for him. He's physical, clinical, and he has that ruthless mentality you need at this level. Saka on the right is still Arsenal's most important attacking threat. When he's flying, Arsenal are flying, and Martinelli on the other side gives them the pace and the directness to hurt any team on the counter. Gabriel Jesus provides experience and the link-up play. And with Trossard and Madueke as options off the bench, Arteta has real weapons to change games if needed. Team spirit. Why the happy detail matters. Now here's something small, but actually quite important. The reports coming out said the entire squad is happy and ready, settled, good energy. You might think, okay, so what? But in football, these things matter more than people realize. When a squad is unsettled, when there are rumors, when players are not happy, it shows on the pitch. We've seen clubs with better squads on paper fall apart because the dressing room wasn't right. Arsenal looked calm when they arrived in Portugal. No drama, no issues, no injured players causing panic. Just 23 professional footballers who've prepared well and arrived ready to do a job. That's the environment Arteta has built at this club, and it's not an accident. It's been built deliberately over years. Does that guarantee Arsenal win tomorrow? Of course not, but it removes excuses. If the preparation is good, the squad is healthy, the spirit is high, then what happens on the pitch is purely about football quality, and Arsenal have quality. The opposition, let's not disrespect Sporting. Now I don't want to sit here and act like Sporting CP are going to be easy. That would be disrespectful, and honestly, it would be stupid football analysis. Sporting are at home, in Lisbon, in front of their own fans. They're a proper club with a proper squad, and they've made it to this stage for a reason. Their home atmosphere can be loud and intimidating, and in knockout football, home advantage is real. But here's the thing. When you look at the win probability numbers, Arsenal are the clear favorites. The data points to Arsenal having around a 55% chance of winning this first leg. Sporting are at about 20%. That's not me making things up. That's based on form, squad quality, and expected performance. And Arsenal's Champions League form this season? Let me remind you, beat Athletic Bilbao away, beat Olympiacos at home, smashed Atletico Madrid 4-0, won at Slavia Prague, beat Bayern Munich, beat Club Brugge away, won at Inter Milan, beats Kairat, drew with Leverkusen in Germany, then won comfortably against Leverkusen at home to progress. That's a dominant run through this competition. So the history of this season says Arsenal know how to handle European nights. They know what it takes to travel away and get results. But let me ask you guys something. Do you think Arsenal will keep a clean sheet tomorrow? Because that's been a key part of their European success. The defense has been exceptional. Saliba and Gabriel as a pair have been unbeaten when they're both in the team for large parts of this campaign. If they can keep Sporting quiet for 90 minutes and nick a goal, this tie is essentially over before the second leg. Drop your predictions in the comments. I want to know what scoreline you're going for. What this means for Arsenal's season. Let's zoom out for a second, because this isn't just about one game. If Arsenal get through this quarter-final, and I genuinely believe they can, we are talking about a Champions League semi-final. Semi-final. The last 4 clubs standing in Europe. That would be the furthest Arsenal have gone in this competition in a very, very long time. And it would be a massive statement to every other club in Europe that this Arsenal rebuild is the real thing. Arteta came to this club with a plan. Fabrizio Romano reported on every single piece of that plan playing out in the transfer market. Every signing, every deal, every here-we-go moment, Rice, Odegaard's permanent deal, Saliba's commitment, Gyökeres, Zubimendi, all of it was building towards moments like this one. Games in Portugal, quarterfinals in the Champions League. This is the project becoming real. And that's why tomorrow is not just another game. It's proof. It's evidence that what Arsenal have been building is actually working. Win tomorrow, and the belief in this squad, already very high, goes through the roof. Quick thoughts and small concerns. I'll be honest with you, though, there are one or two things I want to watch. I want to see how Arsenal start the game. There have been moments this season where they've been a bit slow to get going. In a quarter-final away from home, you cannot afford a slow start. Sporting will be pumped up. Their fans will be loud from minute one. Arsenal need to match that energy from the first whistle. I also want to see how they handle the pressure of a tight game. If it's 0-0 at halftime, if it's tense, do they stay composed or do they get nervous? My gut feeling says this Arsenal squad has enough experience now to handle it. But we'll see. And one more thing. What does Arteta's starting lineup look like? Will he go with his strongest team from the first minute, or does he rotate slightly and keep something fresh for the second leg? These are the manager decisions that win and lose ties at this level. What would happen if a Sunday League player walked up to a referee and shoved him out of the way mid-game? Red card. Banned for weeks. Done. Now what happens when Gabriel Martinelli, Arsenal's Brazilian winger, does the exact same thing on a live FA Cup broadcast in front of millions of people? A yellow card, a pat on the back from the FA, and everybody moves on like nothing happened. This is where we are right now. And honestly, it says a lot, not just about Martinelli, but about what is happening at this Arsenal club right now. The night everything went wrong, right? Let's set the scene first. Arsenal travel to Southampton, a championship club, a side that is literally fighting to stay in the second division. And on paper, this should be a straightforward FA Cup tie for a team of Arsenal's quality. The fans were thinking, perfect. We just lost the Carabao Cup final. The league is tight. This is the game to get the confidence back, get a nice run going, and keep the treble dream alive. Instead, Southampton beat them 2-1. Shea Charles scored a late winner, a championship player, against Arsenal, at home. Let that sit for a second. The treble dream? Done. Gone. Finished. In one night. Now they are left with the Champions League and the Premier League. And as much as I want to stay positive, losing to a championship team in the FA Cup in this manner is not a small thing. This is embarrassing. Full stop. The Martinelli incident. What actually happened? Okay, so now let's talk about the moment that everyone is discussing. 94th minute. Arsenal are already losing. Tensions are high. Referee Sam Barrett awards a free kick to Arsenal somewhere near the edge of the box. Martinelli, clearly frustrated and trying to take the kick quickly, walks up and literally pushes the referee on the arm to move him out of the way. Just shoves him, like he is moving furniture. Now, Barrett reacts and gives Martinelli a yellow card. And that is where the punishment stops. No red card on the night. And now the FA has confirmed there will be no retrospective ban either. Because the referee dealt with it on the field, the case is closed. And I cannot fully wrap my head around that. Can you imagine if this was a different player, a less well-known player from a smaller club? Do we really believe the outcome would be the same? I am not so sure. What the experts are saying. Ex-Premier League referee Mark Halsey did not hold back at all. He made it very clear. That should have been a straight red card, not a yellow. And you know what? He is right. He pointed out something that hit different for me. He said, think about all the referees up and down the country, at local parks, on muddy pitches, every Saturday and Sunday morning. They already deal with abuse, with players in their faces, with threats. And now they watched a top professional footballer push a referee on live television and walk away with just a yellow card. What message does that send those guys? Seriously, what does it tell them? Ref Support UK, a charity that actually trains and helps match officials, also came out and said the FA had a chance to make a statement here. A real statement, and they missed it completely. They said there have been too many incidents in football where officials get pushed or shoved and nothing changes. And if the FA keeps letting it slide at the top, it becomes normal. It becomes acceptable. That is genuinely a problem for the game, not just for Arsenal, for football itself. This is not the first time. Here is the part that makes this even harder to defend. This is not Martinelli's first incident this season. Not even close. Earlier in the season, during an Arsenal versus Liverpool match, Martinelli pushed Liverpool defender Connor Bradley off the pitch. while Bradley was on the ground injured. And that injury, it turned out to be a season-ending one for Bradley. Now, I will give Martinelli the benefit of the doubt and say, maybe he did not know how serious it was in that moment. Maybe he was just caught up in the heat of the game. Maybe. But here is the thing. The calls came in for a ban after that incident too. And nothing happened. No retrospective action. He walked away clean again. So, now we have two incidents in one season. Two moments where people, including ex-referees and football charities, are saying this crossed a line. And twice, Martinelli gets away with it. At some point, someone has to step in. Someone has to say enough. Is the FA doing their job here? I will let you decide. But from where I am sitting, it does not look good. The bigger picture. What is happening with Martinelli? Now let me be honest with you, because this is where it gets genuinely complicated for me as an Arsenal fan. Martinelli is not the player he was in 2022-23. That season, he scored 15 Premier League goals and looked like one of the best wingers in England. He was electric, direct, fearless, and you could see why Arsenal were excited about his future. But since then, it has been difficult. 14 goals across the next two seasons combined. Competition for his spot has increased massively. Eberechi Eze is now at the club. Noni Madueke, too. Martinelli is no longer guaranteed a starting place. And here is where I bring in something important from Fabrizio Romano. During the summer transfer window, Bayern Munich were actually considering signing Martinelli. Romano confirmed on his YouTube channel that Bayern held positive conversations with Martinelli's agents, but Arsenal shut it down immediately. Why? Because Bayern were apparently offering around 30 to 35 million euros, and Arsenal felt the player was worth way more than that. Romano confirmed Arsenal had no intention of selling at that price, and Martinelli himself was happy to stay. Arteta even came out publicly and said, and I am paraphrasing here, that Martinelli is and will remain very, very, very important to this team. But here is the thing. That was then, and this is now. Romano also reported more recently that Arsenal are genuinely happy with Martinelli's mentality. He said the player has a top attitude and is doing well even when coming off the bench. And to be fair, there were moments this season where he came on and changed games. The Champions League match against Athletic Club is a good example. He came on, scored, and got an assist in the final minutes. So the talent is still there. The effort is still there. But the discipline? That is the question nobody can answer right now. My honest take as an Arsenal fan. Look, I love Martinelli. I really do. When he is at his best, he is a nightmare for defenders. He runs all day, he fights for every ball, and he has the ability to turn a game. But this season has been messy, and these off-the-ball incidents are not helping anyone. The FA Cup is gone. The Carabao Cup is gone. Two trophies that Arsenal had genuine chances to win. Gone. Now everything is on the Champions League and the Premier League. Two competitions where you cannot afford to make mistakes. Where referees are watching more closely. Where small moments matter enormously. And if Martinelli is walking around pushing referees in the 94th minute of a match that is already lost, what does that tell you about where his head is at? I am not trying to be harsh on the guy, but someone at Arsenal, Arteta, the coaching staff, the senior players, needs to have a serious conversation with him, because right now, the optics are bad, and in big games, one moment of madness like that could cost Arsenal everything. Questions for you. I want to hear from you on this. Actually, drop your thoughts in the comments. First, do you think the FA got this right? Should Martinelli have faced a longer ban? Or was the yellow card enough? Second, is Martinelli still a starter for Arsenal in your team? Or has his time as a guaranteed first choice passed? Third, and this is the big one, with the FA Cup gone and the Carabao Cup already lost, do you still believe Arsenal can win the Premier League or the Champions League this season? Or is this season slowly falling apart right in front of us? I genuinely want to know what you think. This is the kind of thing where I could argue both sides all day, so tell me where you stand. Here is the bottom line. Gabriel Martinelli pushed a referee. The FA had a chance to make a proper example. They did not take it. And two trophies are already gone this season. I am not ready to write Arsenal off completely. Not yet. The Champions League is still there. The Premier League is still there. And this squad on their day can beat anyone. But these moments matter. These small things, discipline, composure, character under pressure, they pile up. And right now, Arsenal are dropping them one by one. If this team wants to finish the season with something real to show for it, they need to clean this up. Fast. Because the margins at the top of the game are thin, and right now, Arsenal are wasting too many of them. Arsenal are still 9 points clear at the top of the Premier League. The last time they touched a ball in the league was the win over Everton. And the thing that made that game feel special wasn't even the result. It was a goal from a 16-year-old called Max Dowman. We'll come back to him because, trust me, this kid is a whole conversation on his own. Since that Everton win, Arsenal haven't played a single league game. And yet everything has changed. Why? Because Man City woke up. City beat Arsenal at Wembley, and that result seems to have lit something inside them. Now they have a game in hand. If they win that and then beat Arsenal at the Etihad this month, the gap goes from 9 points to just 3. 3 points. That changes everything psychologically. What felt comfortable suddenly feels very, very tight. Ask yourself, do you trust this Arsenal squad to hold a 3-point lead going into the final stretch of the season? I'm asking genuinely, because I'm not sure I do. The cup exits. What do they really mean? Both the Carabao Cup and the FA Cup are gone. And the way they went? That's what hurts. It wasn't like Arsenal lost to a brilliant team playing the game of their lives. They lost the FA Cup quarter-final to Southampton, a championship side. And it was a deserved defeat. No flukes, no unlucky moments. Southampton were better on the day. The Carabao Cup final loss to City, fine. City are a massive club. Those things happen. But 2 cup exits and timid, flat performances, that tells you something about the depth of this squad. Now here's the thing. If Arsenal win the Premier League, these cup exits become a footnote. Nobody remembers the cups when you're lifting the league title. But if they don't win the league, these exits become Exhibit A in the case against Arteta's management. And the criticism will be brutal, completely deserved too. This is the reality Arsenal are facing. Win the league and everything is forgiven. Fall short and this whole season feels like a failure. How are you feeling about that? Let me know in the comments. Do you think the league is still Arsenal's to lose? The main problem, the squad depth, is not there. This is the part that really concerns me as an Arsenal fan. When Arteta rotated his squad for the FA Cup, brought in the fringe players, gave the big names a rest, what we saw was really worrying. The players who were supposed to be the backup, the options, the depth, they just weren't good enough. And the biggest name missing? Declan Rice. Without Rice, that Arsenal midfield looked absolutely lost. There's no other way to put it. The balance was gone, the control was gone. Christian Norgard was asked to sit in midfield basically on his own. And look, Norgard is a decent player, but doing that job in isolation against a team chasing a cup run, not fair on him. Not fair at all. Rice is the engine of this Arsenal team. He protects the back line, he drives things forward, he wins the ball back. When he's not there, you feel it everywhere on the pitch. Keeping him fit and available for every remaining league game is probably the single most important thing for Arsenal between now and the end of the season. And here's what makes it more complicated. The big players who were expected to step up when others needed a rest. Most of them failed their auditions. Gabriel Jesus. Is his time at Arsenal over? Let's talk about Gabriel Jesus. Because this one actually makes me sad. When Jesus is fit and sharp, he's a brilliant footballer. He works hard, he creates chances, he brings others into play. But what we saw against Southampton was a completely different player. No physicality, no presence. He offered almost nothing up front. His injury problems have clearly taken a lot out of him physically. The explosiveness isn't there anymore. And when Victor Gyökeres came on for Southampton and scored within 7 minutes, looking dynamic, powerful, hungry, the comparison was painful to watch. Jesus has talked publicly about wanting to sign a new contract at Arsenal. His current deal runs until 2027. He's one of the club's highest earners. But if this is the level he's at now, it's hard to see how that contract gets extended, honestly. And here's where it gets interesting from a transfer angle. Fabrizio Romano has confirmed that Arsenal will be signing a new striker this summer. It's not a matter of if, it's when and who. Names like Victor Gyökeres and Benjamin Sesko have been mentioned heavily. Romano has also reported that João Pedro from Brighton is available this summer, and Arsenal are among the clubs keeping an eye on him. Now, Gyökeres scoring against Arsenal in the FA Cup is almost poetic, isn't it? The striker Arsenal might sign, coming on and immediately reminding everyone what a proper number 9 looks like. If Arsenal do bring in someone like Gyökeres, a physical, dominant presence, it would transform what this attack can do. The risk is whether they can afford the fee and whether that player adapts quickly enough. But one thing is clear, the Jesus era at Arsenal looks like it's coming to an end, and that's not said with any pleasure. Kepa, please let this be the last we see of him. Look, I don't like being harsh on goalkeepers. It's a brutal position. But Kepa Arrizabalaga was not good against Southampton. There was a moment in the first half where Leo Cienza ran clean through on goal. Kepa didn't really commit, just sort of sat down, and Christian Mosquera had to come across and bail him out. A defender saving a goalkeeper is not a good sign. His distribution was off. His decision-making was poor, and this wasn't even the worst display we've seen from him this season. The Carabao Cup final was arguably worse. Kepa's loan spell at Arsenal needs to end with the season. There's no conversation to be had about keeping him beyond this. The club needs proper investment in the goalkeeper position, either making Raya the undisputed starter and bringing in a quality backup, or going into the market for someone more reliable. Miles Lewis-Skelly and the difficult truth. Miles Lewis-Skelly had a brilliant international break with England under-21s. He looked confident, composed, like a player growing into himself. Then came Southampton, and honestly, he looked like a completely different player. His positioning was off. He was caught out on the ball more than once. He got exposed defensively in a way that shows he's still learning and still developing. And here's the thing, that's okay. He's young. You don't expect a young player to be perfect every game. But in the context of a title run-in, these are the moments where that inexperience can cost you. The margins are too thin right now for performances like that. The one bright light, Max Dowman, is something special. All right, enough of the negatives. Let's talk about the 16-year-old who is genuinely outperforming grown men at the highest level. Max Dowman. I'll be honest, I wasn't sure what to make of him when he first broke into the squad. You always want to be careful about overhyping young players. But what we're seeing from this kid is not hype. It's just real. Against Southampton, while experienced players were hiding and playing within themselves, Dowman picked up the ball and ran at defenders. He demanded it. He went looking for responsibility. He played on the right. He drifted into the number 10 role. He was everywhere. And the little detail in the article that really got me, in the second half, he started looking like he'd given up trying to involve his teammates. He just decided to do it himself. And he nearly did. That's not arrogance. That's a player reading the room and thinking, okay, if I don't make something happen, nobody will. The trust his teammates have in him says everything. These are experienced Premier League players, and they're looking for a 16-year-old to make something happen. That's remarkable. There's a bigger question here, though. How do you protect a talent like this? How do you give him the exposure he deserves without burning him out at an age where his body and mind are still developing? What do you think? Should Arteta be starting Dowman in the league run-in? Drop your thoughts below. Arteta's decision. The circle of trust gets smaller. Here's what I think happens next, based on everything we've seen. Arteta is going to pull the circle of trust even tighter. He was already reluctant to use fringe players this season. We saw that all year. Saturday's performance against Southampton will have confirmed every instinct he had. The backup players are not ready. The depth is not there. And with the league title at stake, he cannot afford to find that out again. So what does that mean practically? It means the exhausted starters, Rice, Saka, Odegaard, Saliba, Gabriel, are going to have to carry this team through the final weeks of the season. No real rotation, no rest, just grind it out. That's a massive ask. These are players who have been going all season, and the physical and mental toll is real. But here's the flip side. These players have shown all season that they have the character to grind results out. Even in matches where Arsenal haven't looked great, they've found a way to win. That grit is still there. The question is whether the tank runs dry at the worst possible moment. Arteta said publicly that the most beautiful part of the season is still to come. That sounds nice. But you could also hear in his voice that he knows the pressure is enormous. Failing to win this title would be a serious mark against his legacy at this club. Not just his, but the whole project. Fabrizio Romano and the summer rebuild. Look, whether Arsenal win the league or not, and I still believe they will, the summer is coming, and it's going to be a big one. Fabrizio Romano has confirmed Arsenal will sign a new striker and a new winger this summer. That's not speculation. He's been very clear on it. A new number 9 will arrive. Romano has also reported that Martin Zubimendi is expected to be a key target, with multiple top reporters backing that story heavily. On Saliba, Real Madrid had designs on him, but Romano has confirmed that Saliba has now signed a new contract at Arsenal. That is absolutely massive. Losing Saliba would have been a disaster. Keeping him means the defensive foundation stays solid going forward. On Kvaratskhelia, Arsenal fans were dreaming. Romano shut that down very quickly. PSG have no intention of selling him. He only joined them in January 2025. Dream over, move on. And on Jesus, given how his performances have gone, and with a new striker definitely coming in, his future at the club looks uncertain beyond this season. The summer rebuild is real, and depending on how the next few weeks go, the urgency of that rebuild could increase significantly. Final analysis. Can they do it? All right. The honest answer from me? Yes. I still think Arsenal win this league. 9 points is 9 points. City would have to go on an unbelievable run, and Arsenal would have to completely collapse. Neither of those things is impossible. But both happening at the same time? That's unlikely. But what worries me is not the maths. It's the momentum. It's the confidence. It's whether players who've been running on empty for months can find something extra when it matters most. The cups are gone. The squad depth has been exposed. The pressure is at its highest. Now the real Arsenal, the one built on character and belief, has to show up. Every single week until the end of the season. No more rotation experiments, no more trying things, just the best players, fully committed, getting the job done. Can they do it? I genuinely believe this Arsenal team has something special in them. The Dowman situation alone tells you this club is building something real, something with roots and a future. But right now, in this moment, the title is the only thing that matters. Everything else is noise. If you're an Arsenal fan, and I know a lot of you are watching this is the time to stay locked in. Not panicking, not doom-scrolling after every bad result, just believing. Because if Arsenal do win this league after everything that's happened this season, it will taste so much sweeter for how hard it was. Drop a comment below. Are you still confident, or is the doubt creeping in? Like the video if you want more Arsenal breakdowns like this. Subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you for the next one.